What's going on, Instagram? So, it's been a while since I made a post. I just had a package come in from Finland, and it's Tool Tuesday. A lot of coincidences going on there, so I figured it'd be a good time to come on here and talk to you guys. Yeah, I got my Vintage Axeworks shirt on today. It's only a couple weeks old, and it's already pretty fucked up. Roy, you really need to make a black shirt. Hopefully you guys tell him the same thing, because apparently it falls on deaf ears when it comes from his friends. So, first things first, let's get the new weird hat out of the way. So you guys have seen the other Finnish military hat that I wear that's more of a summertime kind of hat, and this is the wintertime version of that. Yeah. There we go. It's not quite polite to actually Norsupilua, I believe. I'm sure I'm butchering that. Feel free to correct me in the comments for those of you guys in Finland that are watching. It does not translate very politely, let's put it that way. Basically means elephant, female elephant's private parts. Norsupilua. So use your imagination and figure out what that means. I got a chuckle out of it. I think it's pretty funny. Pretty much everything in the Finnish military is named something after, the nickname is something dirty, you know. Not much different than our military. So that's one thing. The other thing is something that I've had for a little while here. Never mind the shop dust. So, when you get interested in something, there's usually something that catches your eye right off the bat that's just like one of those gotta have it kind of things. This scabbard is one of those. When I first started getting into Finnish axes, one of the first photos I remember coming across was of a Finnish soldier in action, and they snapped a black and white photo of him, and he was carrying a 12-3 size axe, which is the smaller model. He was carrying it in a rig like this. Now, little did I know that that would take me down a tumble me down a rabbit hole that would take years to actually get to this, because little did I know that that soldier was part of the Pioneeri, which was the combat engineers. You know, the guys who, we need to build this or blow this up, those are the guys you call Pioneeri. And this specific engineers type scabbard was made for that unit. At that point, there was only that one photo in existence showing one of these scabbards. There was no originals that had been found in any of the circles of anybody that I knew. Nobody knew anything about them. Most people didn't even know that they were part of the engineers or the Pioneeri. There was very, very little out there. And these full leather scabbards were a pre-war thing from like the 1930s. Most of the leather that you find for these axes now that's still in existence is very, very minimal. It's basically like 2 pieces of leather to cover the bit, and then like a strap system made out of thin straps like this strap up here, because there was such a shortage of leather. So this full scabbard kind of deal was a rare pre-war, you know, for some obscure, if we're talking generally, obscure unit. It wasn't like a general issue type thing. So basically, the chances of me getting something like that over here, non-existent. Over the last couple of years, with a lot of digging and through a lot of friends who also were interested in the same kind of project in Finland, originals have been found, and they were able to be copied. And the same guy that I get a lot of stuff from, Petrie of Tierra Reproductions, I kind of bugged the shit out of him about this, like, hey, come on, man, like, make me one of these. You got an original to copy off of, like, let's make one. And so he made this for me, and his team, and I finally got my hands on one, and it's one of those weird things. This was like my holy grail of Finnish axe collecting. Yeah, having a real original would be cool, but having a reproduction that is beautifully done, that I can actually still use and not feel bad about, is definitely a plus. So it was designed to be carried from the belt. You could unbuckle it and then unhook it and take the axe and the scabbard off separately, or you could remove the axe from the... I don't think, based on what I've done with this so far, this is not something that like would be easy to pull the axe out of the scabbard while it's still on your belt. Pretty sure that's why they designed it as a two-piece system. This stays on your belt, this can come off, and then you can take the axe out and use it. Obviously, if you're in the military, you always got a buddy that can help you hook this back on. The picture that I seen, this was carried behind the small of the back. This leather strap was lost, and then it was just tied with a leather strap, you know, just hand tied, because I'm assuming they lost this little strap with a buckle on it. Just kind of interesting, and the reason why this kind of struck my fancy is because it reminds me of the aluminum faller scabbards that a lot of guys out on the West Coast carry for carrying their axe for driving wedges. They're carried upside down, head down below the belt line, in an aluminum scabbard that carries the axe in a very similar fashion to this. It's just something that caught my interest, and boy, I tell you what, I mean, just look at the quality of the stitching on that. Beautiful leather work. Pioneeri Productions, I have not been disappointed by anything I've gotten from them before, and they definitely are sticklers for quality and historical accuracy. And side note, this pattern that they based off of is slightly different from the typical Army pattern. This is actually based off an original that was issued to the Civil Guard, which is awesome because the two areas of kind of collecting that I do are Civil Guard stuff, the I guess you call it like the militia or National Guard of Finland at the time, and Pioneeri stuff. So this kind of hits both things. This, obviously, if this was Civil Guard marked and also it's an engineer Pioneeri scabbard, that means that it must have been a engineer unit, a Pioneeri unit attached to a Civil Guard unit. They were the engineers of their local Civil Guard unit, I'm assuming. I'm not an expert on this stuff, but either way, it's hitting both cool points. I'm fucking tickled pink about it. I think it's awesome. Again, thank you, Pioneeri Productions, if I haven't blown them up enough. This is nothing that has not been posted before. This is just an original Billness 12.3 on its original handle, and so this has never had a sheath before either. Literally kind of got this and was like waiting on something like that to come along. So enough rambling about that, but that literally was like years and years of a rabbit hole trying to make that happen, and now it finally has, so that's awesome. So we're going to continue on with the Finnish Pioneeri tools. Like I said, I find that particular area of history very interesting. I have a Pioneeri shovel, I have a Pioneeri axe rig and sheath and scabbard and all that stuff, and I also have SA, the Suomen Armeija, which is the Finnish Army, SA, and then a P stamp for Pioneeri. This was a Vasuri made by Billness, and Vasuri, basically it's a bill hook. That's just their word for it, and I believe I've talked about this before. So there's two kinds. You have a Vasuri, which has the socket style construction, and then you have a Kasara, which is a stick tang type construction, more like a knife. Both are basically still a bill hook, but yeah, this is another one. Very few photos of these exist. I believe Oleg of Finnish Vintage Axes has posted a few photos of these through the past, but to have one in the States here, one that's all original, still has the factory grind on it, still has the original paint, just how it would have came to a soldier, other than the fact that it has some storage and handling damage, but nothing too bad. So I do have a similar, it's a thinner, a little bit longer, with less drastic of a hook to it. I have another Vasuri that was a Billness made, and I found that it's a very, very efficient tool. I actually tend to prefer these over a machete now, and so obviously, being a collector of this sort of stuff, I had to have an SA Army Vasuri in my collection. Having one that has the original scabbard, again, like 1930s, this is pre-war type stuff. They didn't issue these kind of heavy full leather coverings for any kind of tool during the war because there's such a shortage of leather. In fact, I think the most unlucky guy in a Pioneeri engineer unit would have been the guy carrying the shovel, because they literally were shoved through the small of the back underneath the cartridge belt, underneath the soldier's belt. Very uncomfortable. This probably was one of the luckier guys because this is the lightest of the tools. The axe guy, if he had a good rig for it, that'd be fairly decently comfortable to carry, but soldier got stuck with the entrenching tool. I think he got the short end of the stick. So, there we go. Tool Tuesday, new weird hat, some more weird tools. Told you guys a little bit about some history that I find incredibly interesting, and hopefully you enjoyed it. And then, as per typical, whenever I get a package in from Finland, it usually contains something, you know, Finnish chocolate or salmiakki, which is the salty black licorice, which I did get some of that this time around because, yeah, I do like it. But one of the things that I've really been trying to get my hands on is a traditional, like, farmhouse style ale that's called Sahti. And, well, would you look at that? So, Finlandia Sahti, strong. And so this was, like I said, a traditional farmhouse type brew. The lack of hops meant that they would strain the brew through juniper branches, and I guess that would kind of take the place of hops and also give it a kind of unique flavor. We've done a similar type of brew here in America in the past, where we use spruce tips to flavor beer because we lacked hops, and from what I understand, that dates from like the Revolutionary War period, so it's not that outlandish. Smells okay. Now, my buddy over there warned me. He said you would have to be one hell of a anti-roca hardcore son of a bitch to actually enjoy this stuff. Anti-roca was, if you ever see the movie Unknown Soldier, it's apparently based on a real guy, but he is like the Finnish version of Alvin York, or he's basically the most badass motherfucker you've ever seen, next to Simo Haya. So yeah, like, he had a whole lot of sisu. But here we go. It's not bad at all. It's actually pretty good. I don't know what the hell he was talking about. This stuff's great. Yeah, that's pretty delicious. If you like a sour beer or an IPAs and stuff like that, then this is definitely Sahti. Go find yourself some. Well, thanks guys. I appreciate you hanging with me on Tool Tuesday. And for my new subscribers out there that don't know what to expect, this is pretty much what to expect. A whole lot of weird stuff. Maybe learn a little bit of history. Again, I'm no expert. I just enjoy this stuff, and it's definitely a good hobby. I do have some axes that are in the stages of completion, basically ready to be hung and then moving on to leather. So for those that are interested in something, I'm going to have a couple pieces available for sale here within the next couple of weeks, hopefully. Obviously, my work schedule does wreak havoc on my my dreams and my hobbies, but I really appreciate you guys watching, and I thank you for your views. Have a good one.